What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bionic Podcast, episode number 6, where I have on my beautiful girlfriend, Rachel.
Thank you.
What's going on?
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Oh my God, I have butterflies. I feel like it's like this is like our first date, but it's like only recorded and hundreds of people are gonna watch it.
I love that.
Okay, so guys, we always start the Bionic Podcast off with the mystery mugs. We're gonna do a quick cheers. Thank you so much for coming on, sweetheart. We're going to have a great podcast. Guys, just like I'm a little bit nervous, Rachel's a little bit nervous, so we have a really nice drink going right here in the mugs. If you think you know what we're drinking, comment in the section below. I know for all of our listeners on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you can't really comment, so it's kind of pointless for that. But anybody on YouTube, in the comments below, guess what we're drinking. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm excited to get this podcast going with you, honey. But first, a word from our sponsors. www.teambionic.ca is now live, everybody. Team Bionic is creating healthy lifestyles at a different level now. Make sure you check out the website, Shop Team Bionic. Go check it out. But I just wanted to shout that out quickly because this is the first podcast since we launched the Bionic website. I am like super excited for that. This cutie right here helped me a lot with it. Everybody that is on Team Bionic had a little bit to do with the website, and I'm super proud of the way that it ended up. So check that out if you haven't already, www.teambionic.ca. Thank you so much, guys, and we will get right to our podcast. What's going on, honey?
Nothing.
So we just hit a massive workout.
Yeah.
We hit arms and back, and now we're just going to enjoy the rest of our night, have a little bit of a chat, and we're going to kind of shape this podcast for you guys with a fill-in and catch-up. So the fill-in portion of the podcast is going to be, introducing you guys to my beautiful girlfriend, showing you her past, her upbringing, the things that have led her to who she is today, which is an amazing woman. I honestly am so excited to share this woman's lifestyle. The things that she does with you guys, she's absolutely amazing. So we're going to start with filling you in with her past, catching up to what we're currently doing, what she's currently doing, what I'm currently doing, and we're going to start with filling you guys in. So the first question I have for you, sweetheart, is explain to me your upbringing, what your elementary school days were like. We're going through this kind of with everybody on the podcast. We're going to get to know you first. So some of the notes here that I have are like you're moving, going to different schools, but I want you to start with the beginning.
Yeah. So I lost my mom when I was 3 years old to breast cancer. So throughout my childhood, we lived on and off with my grandparents and my dad, always with my dad. But yeah, so we were always with my grandparents. I saw them as like my grandmother raised me when I was younger. And then my dad met my wonderful mom now, my stepmom. And then they had my other little brother, Will. So I have 2 brothers.
Josh and Will.
Yeah.
Who are now a big part of my family. But I wanted to talk to you about moving, how it was going to different schools, because a lot of people have experienced that in life. A lot of people go to different schools and stuff. So how was it for you, because I moved about 5 to 6 times in my life, but I was kind of at the same elementary school for like the entire 10 years that I was there. So for you, like starting at different middle schools and then, transferring and stuff, what was that like always having to meet new people?
Yeah, so at the time it wasn't hard for me. But looking back, I'm so thankful that I met so many different people around Mississauga. Because my dad always kept us in Mississauga. We just sort of jumped around Mississauga.
Yeah, like in terms of like an area, like you guys never really went out of like this like area of Mississauga that we live in. I'm not going to start giving away our location
Yeah.
to the whole world and tell everybody where we live. But yeah, like you said, like you didn't go too far. You kind of stayed.
No, we stayed in the same areas, but when you're younger, it's harder because you don't have a phone. You can't keep in contact with like your little friends. Like,
which we were talking about earlier today, how like back in the day we used to knock on people's doors and hang out with them and play outside and stuff like that. So no, I thought that was really cool when you told me that like you went to a bunch of different schools. Like I know it's tough because you're not like keeping those friends forever, but at the end of the day you met a broader scope of people instead of only growing up with the same group like for 10 years, kind of like I did, so I found that very interesting. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about was in your family time when it was just you, Josh, and your father. You had a lot of pets. Tell
Mhm.
everybody like the kind of animals you had living in your house, because
No
it's crazy to
way.
me. Because for me, like I got a goldfish when I was younger, and like that was it. Like I got cut
Yeah.
off. It was like the goldfish died. I didn't even get a new one. It was just like no pets. That was kind
Yeah.
of the policy, you know. But what did you have roaming around in your house?
So we had, I think it was 6 animals at once, thanks to my father. I don't know which one came first, but at the end of the day, at the same time, we had 2 dogs, 2 English bulldogs, 2 cats, a bunny, and a snake. So when my mom came into the picture, she was not happy about the
She's
zoo in
like, this
my
is a
house.
zoo.
Yeah, exactly. But I liked it. I hated the snake, but I loved growing up with a lot of
Cats and the
animals.
bunny
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, and you have a very soft touch for animals. Like we both
Yeah.
have dogs now, and I've seen since your family got your dog,
Yeah.
how in love you are with animals and
Mhm.
just animals in general. Like even when you were at school, you had a chip like a squirrel. Like guys, she would
Oh
like
my
actually
God.
yeah, Big Bertha. She would actually like give like half of a butternut squash to like the squirrel outside, and it wasn't even like multiple of them. It was just one.
Just one.
So she got all chubby and she like really knew who Rachel was. Like it was actually hilarious. So she loves animals. I just wanted to bring that up because like I just think that's like a really cool part of your past because
Mhm.
not everybody gets to experience that. Like to have a
Mhm.
snake in your home, like I never knew what that was
Yeah.
like, right? So I think that's pretty cool. Um, I wanted to ask you about like so losing your mom. What did that do for you in terms of like the way that you look at life? Because I know that like that's a really hard thing to go through. And for me, meeting you midway through life, I could kind of tell that like you had a greater care for people, like
Mhm.
through your kindness and through just the way that you treat people, that you have a certain level of appreciation for human life. So explain to me like, what your thought process is like around all of that.
Yeah, so the caring aspect I owe a lot to my grandmother and my stepmom, 'cause they really like they shaped me my whole upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was challenging because I never really knew how to maneuver it because it was so young.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of something that happened to me and I just had to accept and grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's definitely challenging to not have like your birth mother, and like I had more than two. I had 3 grandmothers with like the different situations, but
Mm-hmm.
the women in my life were just so incredible, and really played that role that I needed. And especially my mom today, like she takes us on like we're her own, and I forget that we're not biological.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm incredibly thankful for that, to have that family, and the family that it's brought on. My little brother, he's
A gift.
everything to
He's
me.
the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
He's absolutely the best. If you want to check out Will, he's actually on my YouTube channel,
Mhm.
because he's been a huge part of my life too. Seeing him, watch him grow up from like 3 years old
Mhm.
until 9 years old. Like I've literally been here for literally more than half of his life. Um, your family is absolutely
Yeah,
amazing,
but
and I know that your family kind of, makes everything like seem
mhm.
like it's like just like the
Yeah.
normal. Your mom is very caring.
She is. And as for what it's done for me, the I'd say losing my mom, and unfortunately I've lost like a lot of the women in my life. But it has shaped who I am today, in the sense that I am so driven to take care of my body, and health has become so important to me. And I do owe that, unfortunately, to the things that have happened to me, but I've sort of just taken them and ran in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Because you live a very holistic, healthy,
mhm.
driven lifestyle, and you know, I knew that about you like right when I met you in terms of like the way you eat, like your eating habits, stuff like that, your avoidance of certain foods, guys. When I met this girl, I was like, oh, let's like hit up McDonald's. We were in high school, and she's like, oh, I've never had a McDonald's burger. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I had like chicken nuggets when I was a kid. Something happened, haven't had it since, and I'm
I
like,
still
so
eat
she
McDonald's.
eats the chicken snack wraps, but she has never had a burger from McDonald's like that. Right when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, like, and at the time that we met, I was like getting into bodybuilding, like young in high school, whatever. So when I met this girl, I was like, oh my God, like she's so like health conscious, and she like is always focused on like putting the right things in your
Mm-hmm.
body, doing the right things, getting the right exercise. And that also comes from your background with sports. So I'd like you to tell the audience like what you played rep in, what
Okay.
sport,
Yeah, so I started playing volleyball in grade 8. I was actually horrible
which is
at
really
it.
late.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
was
started playing
horrible.
volleyball in like grade 6,
Hmm.
and you're
Well,
like
no,
10 times
that's
better
not a
than me.
lie. I started in grade 6 too.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
that was
regardless, like you by the time you got to high school, like you were on a different level.
yeah, so the first time I ever played, I played with my parents because my dad and my mom met playing beach volleyball
So you
actually.
played adult volleyball before you played
We played on
elementary
the
school.
road. No, no.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Not like on the team with
Yeah,
them.
and I
Okay.
was horrible. I was that girl that was shanking at left, right, and center, and no one wants to play with you. Um,
That's
but
me
but
on
I
the court.
enjoyed it, and I owe it a lot to my grade 6 volleyball teacher. He was a Pac-Man coach,
Okay.
and
He
so he
recruited
saw
you.
potential. Yeah, and I
Cool.
tried out in middle school, in grade 6, and then I joined Pac-Man grade 7 maybe.
Mhm.
Grade 7 or 8 is when I started doing rep volleyball, and I played that for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
So cool story that I have actually that kind of links to that, and then we're gonna actually bridge into how we met in high school. But before that, as everybody's learning about me and what I went through in high school and stuff, the school changed, right? So 9 and 10, I was at Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc holds one of the biggest volleyball tournaments for high school volleyball, and it's kind of like a thing to like win that tournament or whatever. And I was playing in grade 9, and so was she. And I was with all my boys at the time in the stands, and Gonzaga came. And if you really know me, I rocked the number 10 in every sport I played: soccer, hockey, lacrosse, and volleyball. Okay. And I see this girl wearing number 10 on the Gonzaga team, and I'm like, oh my God, this Asian girl's kind of sweet. Like, I'm like, whoa. Like, so all the guys are kind of like, damn, like this girl's like good looking. So we're all there and whatever. And first we notice her looks, and then a set goes up, and she's just like flying through the air, like hammers the ball on the poor Joan of Arc team, like kind of shorter girls. Like you were a bit taller and
Yeah,
longer, so
yeah.
you really like excelled in volleyball, and it was like noticeable. Like in guys volleyball, most of us were the same skill level. If not, there was that one guy or whatever. Like she was the one girl on the team that like just stood out, and it was like blatant. And I was like, oh my God, this number 10 girl, like, damn, like you were like a power hitter, like to the T, like of description,
Thank you.
And I was impressed as shit. I was like, oh my God, this girl's like, like you were hitting the ball harder than I was.
Well, that was in like the peak of my rep career, whatever you want to call it, career. But
You went to ROPSA.
yeah,
You guys won ROPSA. Was in grade 9.
grade 10, I want to
I
say.
think it was grade 9.
Maybe grade 9.
It
I
was
don't
grade
know.
9 because
Yeah.
I know 97s that were on the team. So you were
Okay.
in grade 9.
Okay.
But her first year at Zaga takes the team, not you by
No.
yourself, but a lead of the team that went to ROPSA, won ROPSA, went to OFSA. So then I come along to Gonzaga, and that brings us to our next topic. High school, how we met, me coming to Gonzaga, and I just wanted to bring up a specific story of when I went into my first period class. I knew that I was going to switch up my schedule. So the first day to me was kind of like bullshit. I was like, whatever, like I'm just going to go to these classes. And I walk in and I see like all these groups or whatever. And there's like a group of girls. And like I look at the group of girls and Rachel's in it. So I'm like, oh my God, like that's the girl from volleyball. I knew, like, I was like, oh my God, like that's her. Like, anyway, so what was your first impression when I walked into that bio class, Mr. Koo's class?
Well, it's nothing crazy, but I thought you were cute. You were wearing your glasses and your little backpack. So I thought you were handsome. And I think we followed each other on Instagram, but I
Yeah,
didn't
so
recognize you.
I had followed because I knew like a bunch of the boys beforehand. I had followed like you and like your friend group on Instagram and social media. So it was one of those things where like it it took like some bullshit interaction for us to finally first talk
Mm.
in a class or something like that, because it was one of those like, I know you, you know me, but we're not going to talk because we're both nervous, whatever the heck. And yeah, like after that day, I actually switched out of that class. I didn't even spend one day in that class, but we ended up having other classes together, seeing each other in the hallways, and then ultimately spending a lot of time together in specific classes. Kind of led to me kind of falling for you at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And I was like, and it was very fast, but our relationship didn't happen quickly, which is what I wanted to explain was like, as soon as we got infatuated by each other, it kind of like was this like crush thing where like we stayed quiet and like distant for a very long time, and then finally like we hung out or whatever at like a Getty, like that's what it
A
was called.
Getty.
Yo, back in the day, whatever, like a small gathering, whatever. Had some drinks together, and then like it all kind of sparked
Yeah.
from that. But it was a while before I approached you. Took a lot of balls
Mm.
for me because I was actually like for the first time like super nervous about a girl, which not I'm not gonna say like it didn't normally happen, but like I was like almost like paralyzed by like I'm not even joking. Like to go talk to you in the calf at the time. To me, I was like, oh my god, this is one of like the hottest girls at the school, like whatever. No, I know. I'm telling from my perspective why I was nervous because like I thought you were so good looking. So that's something I wanted to mention. What initially drew you to me and me to you was originally looks, right?
Mhm.
And we can relate that back to the fitness aspect and why we click so well with that because we are focused on staying fit, looking good, like big arms, big booty, like that, and staying hot for each other. That's the way I call it. I know, but it's kind of true. Like I am constantly trying to impress you because
Yeah.
I want to impress you. Like I want you to think I'm hot. Like that day in grade 11, like still to this day, I was
Yeah.
how old was I? Like 15 years old. It was
15,
yeah,
yeah.
like we were together on my 16th birthday.
Yeah.
So I was 15 years old. I'm now 23 years old. I'm still to this day trying to look good for you. You know what I mean? Whether it's
That's
going on a
cute.
date or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So I think that your drive for health and being a healthy person is a reason why we did click at the beginning
Yeah.
and click now. A quick hiccup in grade 12, we did break up for about 8 months.
Yeah.
So what would you say we both learned from that? You can even say what you think I learned after getting back together with
Yeah.
me because you were a bit hesitant to give me another chance. So what did you think that we both learned from that situation?
For me, I learned a lot about myself. I'm actually incredibly thankful for it, and I talk about that all the time. But I got to spend so much time with my friends and get such a deep relationship with them in that last year of high school. And I have such an incredible group of friends that they just made it so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which is important during a breakup.
yeah,
The
of
people that you
course.
surround yourself with, like.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to find yourself on your own
Mm-hmm.
before you can be with anyone else. And that's something that maybe both of us didn't understand, probably me more than you. But that was really important to me, just finding myself and being with my friends. But also, when we did break up, I started going to the gym a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually started my fitness journey. I would go, and even if it was just sitting in the parking lot, I would go. And if it meant going inside the gym for 5 minutes, I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it started. Like I made myself go in for
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes because I knew it would make me feel a little bit better.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like
Yeah, the revenge body, breakup body.
breakup body,
Yeah.
breakup workouts, right? Those workouts are like usually the most killer workouts. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, whether you're doing the breaking up or whatever, like afterwards, like going in the mirror and being like, okay, I'm single now. Like it's just me and you, buddy, and
Yeah.
it's you in the mirror kind of thing. And that definitely attracted me back to you. So we got back together right after prom. We kind of realized like going into school, university, like we wanted to be together. I made a huge promise to you that like that was it. Like I would never leave you again.
Yeah.
And I really meant that. And I said it at a young age, but I think that I have matured
Yeah.
past the breakup. Like for me, what was really huge was our next topic, which is you going to Queens. So for first year, I went to Brock University and she went to Queens. That's Kingston and Niagara, so that's 4 hours apart.
Five, I think. Four and a
It's
half.
3 hours to Kingston from Saga, and it's about an hour to Brock from
Mm-hmm.
Mississauga. So
Yeah.
it's about 4 hours. And we were apart in residence for first year for the partying, for the this and that. So we had to trust each other. We had to make time to go on calls to do these things to make it work. But I wanted to talk to you about your Queen's first year, and what you learned being there, 3 hours away from home, and kind of you didn't go with any of your friends. So
Mm-hmm.
for anyone that doesn't know, you kind of took that 1 year to go to Queens because it was the school you wanted to go to,
Yeah.
but you didn't take along any friends from high school with you. So
Mhm.
what did you learn in that year at Queens?
Yeah, so that year was a big year for me. When I initially chose Queens, I thought that I wanted to get away as far as I possibly could. And after a little bit, I was proven completely wrong. It really showed me what's important to me. And I actually, when I got there, one of my childhood best friends was there that we hadn't spoken to in years. But she was my neighbor on in res, and so I'm so thankful for that because she was sort of my comfort blanket, and we got to rekindle. And I did make an incredible group of friends at Queens, and like I still love them to death.
Just like you did your entire life growing up, going to different schools.
Yeah.
You were in a new environment. You made friends for life,
Yeah.
right? Kind of same thing that was going on like while you were in school when you were younger too,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily the people. It was sort of just when I was there, I learned a lot about myself,
Mhm.
and I found myself, I did it to myself. I isolated myself a lot,
Mhm.
because I would go to the gym for 2 or 3 hours a day.
Mhm. That
And my
yeah.
friends were out eating together, and people were developing bonds while I was just sort of focusing on myself.
Mhm.
And Queens is a huge party school.
Mm. And that's not you.
I enjoyed to party, but not to the extent
No.
of
No,
Queen's
you're not
kids.
you're
But
not that aggressive
yeah, so
with
I
it.
quickly learned that about myself. I learned it wasn't for me, and also I didn't realize how close I was with my family and my friends. Being so far away from my family was so hard for me.
Plus, you didn't have a car at the time, so you
Yes,
were
ride
doing like ride
shares.
shares, like back and forth, like
Hmm.
in the Facebook group kind
Yeah,
of thing. If anybody went to uni, sometimes you got to cop a ride share and
yeah,
just head back home. And it's like the more affordable way to kind of get back and
yeah.
forth from a university town, right? But
Hmm.
to connect your fitness lifestyle into that part of your life, you went on like a bulk, like, and I think for you being skinny most of your life, you didn't take well to like the lanky jokes, and like people
Hmm.
kind of like thought it was okay to say that kind of
Yeah.
stuff to you as your boyfriend. I know that. So, you know, explain to me what that year meant to you, because I know you like were taking a mass gainer protein,
Yeah.
you started going to the gym and lifting heavy weight, and that's kind of what started your like, journey to gaining
Yeah.
size,
Hmm.
because the frame that you were carrying around at that time was around like 130,
Less probably.
less, okay, let's say 130, and now you're like 145.
Hmm.
Not to like throw your weight out there, I know women don't like that, yo. You never talk about a woman's weight, so I apologize for that, for exposing you, but you've put on like 15 pounds of muscle,
Yeah.
because anybody that knows you knows there ain't no fat on that body. Like, you're literally just, you have gotten bigger, but it's taken you 4 to 5 years, and I think that Queens was kind of like that starting point, right?
Yeah.
What did you ensure to do at school to kind of get the protein in? Like, what were your kind of go-tos to get put on that size?
So actually, when I got to Queens, I ended up, people say freshman 15, and I ended up losing about 15 pounds. And a lot of people would say like that's amazing,
No,
like,
but it was the
and
calf
they
food
want
was
that.
like
But
horrible.
yeah,
It was
I
portion
was
small.
starving. I
Yeah.
was so hungry,
I
and
remember that.
um, so yeah, I ended up losing that weight. And as you said before, like I've always been small,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like long and skinny. Which people think is a blessing, but it has its challenges on the other side. So yeah, I ended up losing weight when I got there.
Which you worked hard to put on in high
Yeah.
school. So like grade 10, 11, 12, which is 3 years, you worked really
Just
hard in the gym or
eating.
whatever,
Mhm.
and then due to like the poor planned meal program at Queens, you were eating smaller portions, you were only allowed 3 meals a day, when let's say normally like you eat well, your
Yeah.
metabolism is very fast. So this girl like gets hungry every hour. As the boyfriend, like Jesus Christ, like that's a mission in itself, just to keep this girl fed.
Mhm.
And you guys know like the hanger and that stuff that comes with having a girlfriend. She is like on a different level. She could eat bodybuilding style 6 meals a day, no problem. Like you are just like you're a savage with the diet, because when you want to achieve something, you really put your mind to it. And the reason why I asked you your tips and stuff is because you got it done while you were
Yeah.
in school. And a lot of kids out there listening to the podcast right now are probably in university, not being able to achieve their fitness goals, thinking that they can't do it or whatever. So you asked me about a mass gainer, you asked me about, I don't think I'm getting enough calories because I'm losing weight
Mhm.
and I want to get bigger. What can I do? Well, you can take mass gainer, you can do this, that, whatever. So it is doable, you
Yeah,
know?
so there I ended up taking the mass gainer because it came to the point where I was going to the gym every day.
Hmm.
And then I wasn't able to fuel my body with what I needed. Like the grocery store in Kingston, if you go to Queens, you know it's about I was in the farthest point away from it. So it was about
Hmm.
15-20 minute walk, maybe more.
Hmm.
And you're in first year, so you're broke. So
Hmm.
especially yeah, for me. So it was hard and when you're it's frustrating when you're trying to go to the gym and put on size.
Hmm.
I wasn't going to lose weight.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
like
when it
you're
was happening, I was getting really frustrated because I was working so hard and then
like,
there was nothing
yeah, like,
happening.
yeah,
So
you weren't feeding your
I wanted
muscles.
to give myself some extra nutrients for
And
sure.
the reason why I wanted to bring that up, huge development process for you as a woman, being out on your own,
Hmm.
going through those challenges, those struggles, learning more about how much you love your family, how much you needed to be at a closer place to home, which led you to choose going to McMaster. So you studied a broad general program at Queens in first year.
Hmm.
You are slightly hard on yourself for knowing what you need to do in life and your career and this and that, whatever. So I think a part of that stress also was that, you didn't know what you wanted to study yet.
Hmm.
So you were at Queens, far away, isolated, this, that, whatever, all these things. And you're like, I'm in general studies, like general arts. Like, I don't know what's going on. What led you to choose your very specialized program, and tell the audience what it is that you studied at McMaster and why you chose that program?
Yeah, so I ended up graduating from McMaster with my degree in health and society, specializing in mental health and addictions. Um, I came to that because the class that I enjoyed the most in Kingston at Queens was I think it was like a social determinants and physical determinants of health class. There were two classes I took.
Which I learned about too in school.
Yeah, and those were the two that I loved the most.
Hmm.
Um, I've always had like these weird things with addictions growing up with like I used to watch with my grandma like people shooting up crystal meth when I was like 12. Like I loved like the addiction shows.
Hmm.
And it sort
Or
of
like My Strangest Addiction,
yeah,
TLC.
yeah, stuff like that.
That's
Like I
yeah,
love that stuff.
yeah.
And
Okay, that's
it's
weird,
sort
but
of like
you're weird.
when I started going to school and learning more about it, like I realized that that's what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I just sort of took what I was interested in and I ran with it. I knew I didn't want to do
You
science,
know what's
math,
really weird?
anything.
Everybody that seems to come on the podcast like really studied something that they enjoy,
Yeah.
And that's
That's important.
it's huge.
Yeah.
No, it really is, because again, guys, meet Team Bionic. The reason why I'm doing what I love, the reason why I'm doing following fitness and health and all this kind of stuff is because in the year I dropped out of university to choose college and do fitness and health is the exact same year that you went into your specialization program and you were like, this is what I want to study. I know I'm really interested in this and I love it and I can see myself changing this industry, etc.,
Yeah.
and looking beyond that,
I
right?
think for both of us, like especially in my situation, like we both realized that we weren't happy where we were.
Hmm.
And it's incredibly scary to just drop out of a university. Maybe it sounds easy, but
Hmm.
to
Well,
make
the
that
biggest thing
switch
was
is
telling
incredibly
the biggest
scary.
thing for me was telling my parents.
Yeah.
Like, knowing, like being on residence, knowing, okay, I think I'm gonna quit. Like I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do 4 years here, like whatever. Then having to like call my parents, or like the next time I go home, like having to tell my parents like, yeah, like like that whole year that you just paid for, like whatever,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be doing that
Yeah.
anymore, whatever. And for yourself, it was, I think, a bit more of like a positive thing because you were going closer to home.
Yeah.
McMaster's only about 30-40 minutes away.
It was positive, but it was terrifying
Yeah.
because first year in itself for a lot of people is very hard, and
Yeah, it
having
is.
to relive it, what it felt like all over again, was so hard, but it was definitely the right decision.
And I couldn't be happy for you, sweetheart, because you moved. You had high school friends at Mac,
Yeah.
so you ended up moving in with them.
Yeah.
You had great house experiences, somewhat. One of them, no, before you moved in with your friends. But we've been through this whole journey together, and fill in, catch up. So now we filled you guys in. What she's gone through, what she was like growing up. She's a little bit of a brat. You are. You're a shit
Are?
disturber. I am.
Mm.
So we work well with each other. We pick at each other's bones, but at the end of the day, we are very appreciative of our journeys, I
Mhm.
think,
Yeah.
and everything that we've gone through through high school, breaking up, Queens, Mac, Brock, Niagara College, all this kind of stuff. Like,
Mhm.
no matter what happens in our lives, we know that we have each other, and I think that has really shaped me and who I am. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of this series, like we will have more podcasts where our next podcast, everybody, is going to be the relationship between mental and physical health, because I am on the side of graduating with a physical health and fitness degree, and Rachel's on the other side with a mental health degree. So she is going to talk about what she thinks is key with fitness and connecting mental health. Then I'm going to talk about how fitness affects mental health and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to have a really cool, knowledgeable, educated podcast for you guys where we talk about our subject matter expertise. So nutrition, holistic health, all the things that we believe in. But for now, it's more about how this sweetheart has impacted my life, how she's helped me feel invincible, and like I can accomplish anything. And I have opened up on this podcast a lot because I want people to know who I am. I
Mhm.
want them to really get the inside look about our lives. And she's sometimes hesitant about sharing things and just like kind of putting things out there into the universe. But for me, I'm so proud of her, that I want to show everybody your journey. Like I'm super
Yeah.
proud of you, the resilience that you have, and no matter what goes on in life, like you always have a positive outlook at the end of the
Mhm.
day. No matter the struggles that we both go through, again, we're always there for each
Mhm.
other. So now that you guys are filled in, I think pretty good.
Yeah.
They how we met, all this kind of stuff. We're gonna now go into catching up, which is what Rachel's doing right now. You all know that I am now a certified sports nutritionist. I did that for a year to certify after I graduated. Now Rachel's actually on the same endeavor, going into a specific program for her career, and I want to ask you about that. What are you currently studying post grad, and what led you to study this type of education?
Yeah. So I'm currently doing an online program. It's for perinatal education. For those of you that don't know, it's childbirth education. And I found it actually through quarantine. So for the past, like, as long as I can remember, I've been so interested in watching women's pregnancy journeys on YouTube, and it sounds so weird.
No, guys, like she like when if I let her use my laptop, the next on my recommended page, it's like a pregnancy vlog. Our first what's that thing called? Ultrasound.
Oh
Our
yeah.
first ultrasound on the thumbnails. I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah.
there's no like hockey or MMA on my thing. It's like babies,
Yeah.
straight babies.
Yeah.
So why babies?
So I contrary to popular belief, it's actually not babies, it's the pregnancy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not obsessed with babies, and I'm also not obsessed with pregnant women. So it sounds strange, but
Mm-hmm.
so I sort of acknowledged in quarantine that I've enjoyed watching this, and I've been so invested in learning about other people's journeys in pregnancy
Mhm.
that why wouldn't I start a career for myself in that journey? So even in school, like anything maternal health in that realm, I was always super interested in, but it sort of took that time to realize that maybe I should start a career in it if it's something that I'm so interested in. Um, a lot of my degree was based on social determinants of health, health inequalities, that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of intersection with that and childbirth
And
and maternal health. Yeah.
pregnant women not having the outlet to become educated,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. And accessibility.
not everybody buys pregnancy books and
No.
reads and has that crazy interest. There are also low income areas
Yeah.
that can't afford certain things and may not know certain things, so it affects the pregnancy as a whole, which
Yeah.
affects a human life. And what I wanted to put on the side note of that was that I think that's connecting back to the beginning with your mother about having a greater appreciation for human life.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You want that pregnancy to go smoothly because you care about the baby that's
Yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
right? So, and you want the pregnant women to have a good experience, right? Like, you want
Mm.
them to, be educated, know the supplements they need, know the benefit, the pros and cons of things, right? Like,
Hmm.
just educating them in general so that they have a better experience, right? And I can
Yeah.
see that how genuine you are about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this pathway sort of solidified all the different avenues in my life that I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So it ties in health, well-being, mental health, fitness, and maternal health and childbirth. So all of those things interrelate with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while for me to decide that that's what I wanted to do, but when I started looking into the things that I was genuinely passionate about and I just love to learn about, that's how I found what I'm doing now. And I think that's so important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because for a decent amount of time post grad, you didn't really know exactly what it
Yeah.
was. So, to shed some light on the whole COVID situation, you know, there are really good things that have come
Yeah.
out of it for you and I, like the gym, being able to finish my course because I'm home more often.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of like having that time to think, having that time to be like,
Mm-hmm.
what am I gonna become an expert in, kind of thing. Like, to become an expert at something, you need to care that much about it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've talked about on every single episode so far about the Bionic podcast. But it sounds so cliche, but if you don't love what you do, you'll never be great at it.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
that's why I'm so thankful for that period of time because post grad and during my fourth year, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I had my
The
degree,
question stressed you
but
out.
I didn't want to be a therapist. I didn't want to be like a support worker. Like and that stressed me out that I didn't want to do anything that my degree was leading me to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful for that period of time I had to just sit with myself and find what I'm interested in and what I'm
Mm-hmm.
passionate about and the people in my life let me do that. My parents were graceful with me
Mm-hmm.
and for that I'm so thankful because I it was sort of like an aha moment where I just realized like wait, I'm obsessed with this and I'm not doing anything with it. Why don't
Mm-hmm.
I try to see what I can do in that
Mm-hmm.
realm?
And another thing is too, like, you see a void in the industry, right? You
Yeah.
see like certain women not getting the education that they should have. Um, what do you call it? Like,
To have access
yeah, they
to.
should have access to it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it should be normalized that like there's free information on pregnancy and there's free seminars that you can attend, and like
Yeah.
maybe you'll work for a nonprofit or you'll work privately or whatever it is that you're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, you saw that void. Same thing with myself and like the fitness industry and like personable coaching and stuff like that. I saw
Yeah.
like a void where like, you know, people need to be cared about. People need to be shown that they're cared about. It's the same thing with the pregnant ladies. Like, they need to know that they can be as educated on their pregnancy as they want to be, and for you to be reading the textbook and like really enjoying it, like, I love to see it, honey. Like, it's really cool because I
Mm.
do know that for a while you didn't know kind of where your degree was going to take you because only how many people graduated in your class?
I'd say under 10.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like she had her
It's a
graduating.
new degree.
It's a new degree. It's very specialized, but it's like it was clear as day to you that that's what
Yeah.
you loved, and like especially in fourth year, you loved all the courses you were
Oh
taking.
yeah.
Like there were no bullshit fillers. Like you were
No.
literally like, oh my god, I love all my courses, and I'm like, oh my god, and you got really good grades,
Because I
right?
think that's so important. Like, and I owed a lot to my parents. I know it's a different situation for everyone, but my parents really let me take what I wanted to.
Mhm.
And I genuinely believe that if you're not taking something that you don't care about, you're not going to do well. And maybe that's just my view, but
Mhm.
for me, like when I was taking science and math courses, I hated my life and I wasn't doing well. But when you start taking things that you care about and you want to learn about, like you will thrive. And I think that's so important. Like just do it, you
Yes,
know?
yes, boo. Yeah. Work it, girl. Yes. I'm her number one hype man.
No, it's true.
I am.
Yeah.
And I always, you're always working it. You're always, getting
Yeah,
it
you're
done.
embarrassing sometimes.
Okay.
You're
So
like that dad of the group. Everyone
what?
knows it. Yeah, that's true.
It's funny though.
It's cute.
Uh,
Yeah.
It's always with this. It's cute, guys. This is the thing, right? I'll like hit like a PR on a deadlift. I'm lifting like 400 pounds. I feel like all jacked up, and then this girl comes in, babe. I hit four whatever on deadlift. That's cute.
That's
I'm
nice.
like, what? Cute? You just strip me of my
I
manlyhood.
know.
But I'm very in tune with my manhood, so it's
Yeah, you're
okay, honey.
fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. So the whole embarrassing thing of me and that stuff will actually bridge us perfectly into our next topic, which
Yeah.
is going to be what's the most, I'm asking everybody this because the viewers are going to get to know Jules Melly based off of the interviewees. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was, in your opinion, the most embarrassing moment where you were like, I don't know why I'm dating this guy?
So it's clear as day for me. It's we went to our first all inclusive together. Was it last year? 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Um and we're in the pool. It's a darty. It's fully a darty.
It's fully a day send and a half.
We're
I
in the
think no,
pool
but we started drinking at like
too
10:30.
early. Yeah.
10:30 in the morning
It was really
yeah.
hot. Yep. In Mexico. So we met these new people. We're having the time. It's all inclusive, so you can take as many shots. You don't
Pool
need to buy
party.
them.
Pool party.
People are offering each other shots, like they bought them for each other. And we just finished taking a
That's so
shot.
true.
And I knew I hit my limit, and I turn around, and you guys are all offering me another one, and I knew I couldn't take it, so I took half, and you took the whole thing. And lo and behold, I turn around probably 2 minutes later. I was talking to some people. I turn around and this man is throwing up in a cup in the pool, in a solo cup, whatever it
Wait a
was.
second. We have to explain the ninja-like precision
Yeah.
of hiding
No,
it.
it was very proper.
Okay, I went to the side and I was like dancing, whatever, had the cup in my hand,
Yeah.
and it was not like a crazy like
No.
it was just like I filled the cup, put it down on the bar, and
No, I put it down.
and then Rachel was like, I think
And
it's time to go.
yeah, and I escorted you out, and
So the embarrassing part must have been
that
the
you knew people around us.
well,
We had
yeah.
made friends. It was late in the
And they were
week.
on our flight, so it was like on
Yeah,
the way home,
so
like
I'm sure lots of people saw you.
saw, and then you also like had to carry a dead body
Yeah.
home.
I
So the
wasn't
path
embarrassed at
walk,
the time, but
yeah.
when you think of your most embarrassing moment, that definitely like is the first thing in my mind. That you yacked in a pool.
In the
cup.
cup,
In a
not
cup.
in the. If I yak,
Disgusting.
if I
And
yak
you know what?
free
I feel
flow,
sorry for whoever found that cup because it was filled to the brim with barf.
okay. But
So for that,
imagine
I'm
if it was in the pool though.
yeah,
That
it
would have
would've
been
worse.
bad.
Yeah.
That would have been like everybody evacuate the pool. Like this one guy
Yeah.
yacked in it. Then I would have been like, that would have been like the most embarrassing thing
Yeah.
ever
You
in
held
human
yourself
history.
together.
No, not on the walk home.
No.
I was like straight up staring at the ground with my eyes closed.
Yeah, it's the blind leading the blind. I was trying to
She
help
was
you.
also, yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
junkie
somewhere.
poos,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what, everybody? It is what it is. Sometimes, you know, the Mexican vibe was like push pace. Like they were
Yeah.
like on the bartenders were on us
Oh, it was so fun.
for like the whole week, like pushing us like you guys need shots, you guys need this. Like the reason why that happened is because at 10 o'clock we laid our towels down on a chair. Like before I even took my flip flops off to put my feet up on the chair, there was
Tequila
somebody,
sunrise.
yeah, there was somebody there with a cart, like, what's your drink? And I'm like,
You
tequila,
thought you could take tequila.
tequila
That was the
sunrise.
problem.
And that was another thing too. I don't drink tequila ever casually on the weekends or anything. So when I got to Mexico, they're like, you have to drink it. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. Then my confidence gets
Tequila
all,
confidence,
yeah. Then my
they called
confidence
it.
started like, "Whoo," and I was like, bro, I can take just as many shots as tequila as I can vodka. Like
No.
that's light. And the salt and the citrus, like lime, lemon, whatever you do
Yeah, you were
after,
having a blast.
makes it easy.
Hmm.
Like that combo with the salt and the lime, I was like, kind of my first time experiencing multiple shots of it. Like obviously I've taken a shot of it before, but like getting into like the 5 6 shots like at like 2 p.m. I'm like, bruh, like come on.
Yeah.
So that's my defense for that. I wasn't a tequila guy before
Yeah.
that week, and then next thing you know, it got the best of me.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I don't think anyone saw. So it's okay.
So the embarrassing part must have been walking home.
It's just like when you tell the story, the situation itself is embarrassing, but at the time I wasn't
So
embarrassed.
technically, if you didn't want to mention it on the podcast,
I didn't have to.
nobody would have ever known. Nobody
No.
in the pool and nobody watching this video or
Yeah.
listening
But
on
it's
Apple
one of my
Podcasts
favorite
or
memories
Spotify.
of you, so it was good.
I'm sure you love those memories of me
Yeah.
embarrassing myself.
Lots.
Another one that I'm super excited about because this girl never, ever, ever, ever pumps my tires.
No.
Ever. Guys, I get 2 compliments a year.
No.
Maybe every six
No.
months. I think every 6 months she'll hit me with a compliment. It's normally about my gains
Mhm.
because she knows like that fires me up, that whatever. And again, me going back to trying to impress her all the time,
Yeah.
right? Like give me a little affirmation here. Tell me like I'm doing a good job, whatever. But we're gonna just start with the question: what was your proudest moment of me so far?
Yeah.
So far in this
More to come.
relationship, yeah.
So 100% it was seeing you on stage for the first time. I think it was because I've seen you accomplish things or whatever, win things in the past
What
with teams,
like
with
hockey?
hockey. But there was something about seeing you do it by yourself. And I say by yourself, but you had a coach. But bodybuilding is something that you need to work for it. And regardless of if you have a coach or not, if
Mhm.
you don't put in the work, you're not going to see the results. And I think just seeing you on that journey, how hard you worked and how dedicated you were, and then finally seeing you on that stage, like me and Kat, like lost our voices. Like the people behind us wanted to punch us in the face, but we were both so proud. And like just seeing you standing there by yourself, like knowing you had done that all on your own, like no one did it with you in your family, your friends, whatever. But it was a very proud moment for me. You love that.
Whatever. Whatever. It's
Yeah.
I appreciate that, honey, because I did kind of go out to visit you multiple times in Hamilton.
Yeah.
I would show up with like my cooler of like oats, peanut butter, egg whites, chicken, fish, and vegetables. I would stock her fridge and I would just live that life.
Yeah.
And to know that the first time I did that, I was 19
Yeah.
and I'm about to do it again at 23 years old. The growth that we've both had individually,
Mhm.
the growth of our relationship, maturing, both of us maturing. I think our relationships are honestly just getting better with age.
Mhm.
We are best friends, and honestly, like I'm always wanting to hang out with you, and I feel like I'm on a first date right now. Literally, I was so nervous to start, but
I know.
just to talk to you and to kind of catch up and fill in with the audience and kind of let everybody know, like, I'm a softie. Like, at the end of the day, I love my girlfriend. I'm head over heels for you. And it's been like that since day one. Honestly, like I
Mhm.
never, I would never, I wouldn't, I would say I never fell out of love with you, even in that 8 month period.
Yeah.
It was something that like I knew, I didn't want to continue life without you
Mhm.
after high school because that was a huge moment for me. I was like, oh, I'm done high school, like I'm moving away from home, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want this girl to come with me on this journey and to have found fitness together, to lead with fitness. You and I
Lead
are
with fitness.
lead with fitness. You already know. I actually shout out. I
You
already
want to talk about that?
I shouted out Mike already.
Yeah.
How we both listen to a lot of podcasts. So it's funny that we're doing our first one together.
Yeah.
But we do listen to a lot of podcasts. We try and educate ourselves, and it's only driven our holistic, healthy lifestyle to another level because now we're always leading with fitness. It's
Yeah.
always like,
And so leading with fitness, what he explained was waking up every morning and taking care of yourself and doing what you're passionate about and going through your day holding that with you. So when what I took it as when you take care of yourself, it really resonated with both of us.
mm-hmm,
So that when you take care of yourself, you can take care of other people and everything you face in your life. Because like waking up sometimes and hitting a workout and taking care of yourself is hard. It's hard to pick yourself up and do it,
no, and yeah,
but
that was
it's
something I also had written down here. Quickly, if you want to touch on that, like you work out 6 days a week.
mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to shit on people out in the world, but like, guys, you're not on her level. Like, even dudes, like, you're not. Like, you're just
Yeah.
straight up not on her level. I can bet you skinny guys out there, she's bigger than you. She has bigger triceps, shoulders. Like, this girl works out 6 days a week, and you can't ask her to take like a second day off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't. And it's crazy because you've integrated it into your life. It's not like I gotta work out today or
Yeah.
what. It's I am working out today. It's almost like you have no choice,
Yeah.
but it's so consistent with you. Like, I've never met anyone else. Like, I do know certain like gym rats, like certain friends of mine or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but casuals that I know, people that I know, I don't know anybody else that's gone the past 8 years exercising 6 times a week, 52 weeks out of
Yeah.
the year. You know what I mean? And I think that connects us a lot because one of us isn't like sitting around on the couch doing
Yeah.
nothing. Like, we're both like, what are you hitting today? I'm hitting back. Oh, so am I.
Yeah.
And crush a workout together. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
it's a habit you have to build, and that's what I did in the time that we weren't together.
mhm.
It's sort of just picking yourself up when you don't want to, and that's the most important time to work out when you don't want to. And those are the times you have the best workouts sometimes.
Which we will dive into later on our. We're gonna go into
Yeah.
such a good podcast when we do that. Like,
Yeah.
to hear us talking now, we're kind of like talking about our journeys and our lives.
Yeah.
And what I said about the description of the Bionic podcast is I want to give individuals an avenue to share their life stories, to share what they're
Mm-hmm.
passionate about. So now the world knows that you love perinatal education, that you're super passionate about bringing education to the pregnancy industry and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the next podcast will be more of like our expertise,
Yeah.
us sharing why that's important. Why is
Mm-hmm.
it important to do it when you don't want to?
Yeah.
I want to go into that like crazy amount more, but
Yeah.
we're going to spend like a nice hour, an hour and a half talking about fitness and what drives her, what drives me, how we've integrated it so that you guys can kind of take from that and just see our experience. And if you don't care for it, then you don't necessarily need to watch it. But if you're trying to create that healthy lifestyle where it's almost second nature and you don't think about it, for us it's also hard. But we're gonna talk about everything in that really
Yeah.
cool podcast. I'm excited for that
Me
because
too.
I'm not going to just have guests on the podcast just once.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something I want to talk about with a specific person, they'll come back on the
Yeah.
podcast or whatever, and we'll just talk about a completely different subject.
Mm-hmm.
Especially during COVID right now, I can't have guests on the podcast. It's just my family.
Mm-hmm.
So, during the first quarantine, though, we didn't see each other
No.
for like
A
2 months.
month, 2 months.
Yeah, like that was crazy. But the last thing I want to talk to you about as we're coming to the end of our mystery mugs, that you guys can also comment again quickly before we expose what we're drinking to you guys. What is your favorite part about Team Bionic? So you were with me like before this even started,
Yeah.
before this was even a thing. And as it's developed, it's our fourth year of business. What would you say overall is like your favorite part about Team Bionic?
Yeah, so my favorite thing is your care and your passion and the energy you give towards your clients. And that's something that I noticed before, but it really sat with me when you started coaching like my two best friends. So when you started coaching them, I really noticed how much you put into your coaching. So they would come to me about things that they told you, and you just give them your whole heart, and you'll give them your personal experiences, so they feel like they're not alone in their journey. And I think that's so important in the fitness industry. It's very hard because a lot of the times you feel alone in the stuff that you're going through because other people don't share as much transparency. But when you were coaching my friends, I really noticed how much you give to people and how much of your own story you share with people. And that helps people so much in getting through their hard days because they realize that it's normal and it's part of their regular journey. So
Because at the end of the day, we're all human.
yeah,
At the
so
end of the day, like, we're not always motivated. We're not always determined.
yeah,
There's up days, there's down days. And the beauty of a fitness journey is that,
yeah,
and on Team Bionic, I strive to preach that
mm-hmm.
there are ups, there are downs. It's how you manage it. It's your perspective. It's what you choose to do. Sometimes there are external factors that are larger than our control,
Yeah,
obviously. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to create lions in people. The
mm-hmm.
the 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 motto of the podcast is find your inner roar, and I think that have found that. You found your inner roar. You're a savage girl. You work out like a savage. You are a
Whatever.
lion. You are a lioness. At the end of the day, I'm your big main lion. You know what I'm talking about? Right? So I'm the king, you're the queen, but I think that with me or without me, you are a lion
Mm-hmm.
regardless. You've become that woman as a
And I think
whole.
that's important.
You are, and that's what I mean. Like, with or without me, you're a lion. So, you have found your inner roar before me, without me, and that is a huge reason why I'm so appreciative of you. You're a firecracker at the end of the day. You're very shy and you're quiet and stuff like that, but when it comes time to, bring that lion out, like, you have it. So I think that, you have also helped me in giving that kindness to people. I was a little bit of a cold-hearted bastard prior to this.
No,
Not, but a little bit like
you've
rough,
learned
rough around
things.
the edges and stuff like that. This woman has changed my life, guys. Like, guys, if you're in a relationship and she's trying to change something about you, take it with a grain of salt and then analyze yourself. Like, that in a relationship, it's a time to look into the mirror. So I looked into a mirror at a certain part of my life at 19, at 20, at 21, at 20, like every single year. If she has something to say about me, and I know she has my best interest in mind, I don't look at it as like, oh, you're trying to change me, you don't appreciate me or whatever. If it's going to make me a better person, you
Mm-hmm.
best believe I'm going to make an effort to change that about myself. And
Yeah.
I know how good of a person you are, the kindness you give to people and stuff. So, you know, when I started Team Bionic and whatever, it's after you shape me into a nicer
Well,
person.
I think there's a difference between trying to change someone and
Changing
educating.
habits,
Yeah.
habits and education.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. And
Yeah.
you you made me a lot more accepting and all these different things that
Mm-hmm.
have led me to be a good coach. Like,
Yeah.
the person I was at 17 or 18 probably wouldn't have been the best coach for people. You know what I mean? But as I matured, as you learned things in school, as I learned things, as we grew together, it has created a caring person. Like, I feel like you've rubbed off on me, and you're such a kind-hearted soul, honestly. And that has translated to me to be able to, you know, allow like, and that's another thing too with all your friends. Like, you're a very approachable person, and I've learned that, like, the way that we communicate, the way that we deal with issues and stuff like that. Like, I feel like I give a thing like an avenue for my clients that if they're feeling down or if they're feeling like whatever, they're open with me, and they're
Mm-hmm.
honest with me, because I'm so, open arms and kind with people, because you've affected me like that. And you've been like that for your friends always. Your friends are always approaching you. They don't have any issue going to you with their stuff, and with, like, you give advice to everybody. Like, you're very good for that. So I think that you know, your favorite part of Team Bionic comes from the person that you are at the end of the day,
Maybe.
which is really cool because, honey, like you really are a good person. And like I said, I wouldn't be the coach I am today. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for you. That's why you know, are on Meet Team Bionic. Although you're not like my blood, you know, like you're someone that has literally impacted me the most. Like I talk about my parents and how everybody shaped me and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, in my real maturity years and stuff like that, dating you has really excelled me as a person. 100%.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's enough now.
That's enough. Oh my God. Like guys, why do I go in the fields like so hard, like with my parents and like, I'm telling my sisters I love them. Like why? Like, I don't know.
You're kind.
Yeah.
You're a teddy bear.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm
But
hard,
people don't
girl.
know that,
I'm
and they're
hard.
trying to learn about you. So here you go.
That's the
Phil
joke.
Smiley's a teddy bear.
That's the joke though. I try and act hard and whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I grew up with mostly women around me until I
Yeah.
got my stepbrother. But at the end of the day, I think being a kind person prevails against anything. Be kind, be generous, be giving. And like I said, those are all things that you have displayed to me and have helped me, bring that out of myself because like I said, hockey Jules, 17-year-old, 16-year-old Jules was not this person. If you knew me back in the day, if you have judgments on me or whatever, every single year of my life, I have adapted, I've changed. And that's why the theme of this podcast was fill in, catch up. You guys know what this girl is all up to right now with her education, what I just did post grad and everything like that. You're all filled in. You're all caught up. And now we are going to reveal what's in the mystery mugs. Sweetheart, it was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to shake hands. We're not going to kiss. PDA. No PDA on the podcast, okay? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Do you have any last words for the audience? Because I forgot the wine bottle in the kitchen, so you're going to have to
I don't.
say a quick piece.
I don't. Are you kidding me? You can cut this out if you want to.
No.
You could.
No.
If you appreciate me, you will.
No.
Well, you're back, so.
And what the poor girl doesn't understand is I am not cutting this podcast. If you guys know, if you've been watching my YouTube videos, she doesn't like to be on camera.
No, I hate
And you know what, guys? I'm really trying to bring her out of that shell because you're funny, you're witty, you say funny things, you say stupid things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, guys, what we're drinking is a little bit of white wine. It's Most Wanted. It's a Sauvignon Blanc. Sorry, I tried to say that really fancy. Kind of backfired on me, but we're having a little bit of white wine. Come on here, un poco di vino, as they say in Italian, which you've been extremely accustomed to, the Italian lifestyle, drinking wine. She loves her cheese, but we should have had cheese. But I think if we had cheese, everybody would know it was wine.
They could hear our lips smacking. That'd be disgusting.
People like that. What's it called?
ASMR.
ASMR.
Yeah.
That's why we did the mukbang.
Right.
Right. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are still here,
Thank you.
we love you. And thank you again to all of our listeners. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, give the video a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my interview with this beautiful girl here, my girlfriend, Rachel Eden, thank you again for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you doing this because you really didn't want to at all.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Now that it's all over.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Now we are signing off. We are going to be coming back with you guys with a nice educational, knowledgeable podcast about nutrition, fitness, and mental health. Stay tuned for that for the next episode of the Bionic Podcast. And again, thank you guys so much.
Peace.
Peace.